Well, that is a lot of engines. It's one engine too many for that car. Why is that door open back there? Let's investigate. Could be like detectives. Sherlock Holmes, Inspector Clouseau. Anybody home? I know I closed it last night when we locked up. Somebody must be here. We're not here for security purposes. We're not here to count engines. We're just here to install it. We're going to spend a day in the shop fixing engines, fixing cars, all kinds of cars. It might be just the engine. We might be doing some brakes on the Chevy conversion van. We might be doing a starter on a Dodge Charger. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. I know we're going to learn things, have fun, and fill the day full of humor, useless random thoughts, mystery, intrigue. You might even learn something by mistake or on purpose. I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. It's definitely worth watching. So it's a beautiful morning, by the way, about 72 degrees, low humidity, but I think it's going to hit 90 today. And we got a couple of hurricanes twirling around out there in the Atlantic, but none of them are supposed to hit us, so that's good. Let's see what happens. Let's finish getting this place open up and get started. What do you say? Stay tuned. We're going to be a little short-handed today. One of the managers is out. Got some family business to attend to, so we'll see how that goes. We're going to do the best we can to make it work. That's what we do around here. First order of business on this is all these, they like to cut the wiring harnesses and stuff, which I guess they don't have a lot of options if it goes to the car. You would think a wiring harness would have a lot of value. If a car's wrecked and the wiring harness gets damaged, they could just replace it. But the junkyards all cut them. Maybe it's not a hot selling item. Anyway, I got to get all these connectors off. I got my little pick just in case. I got the pieces of hoses off, and they went through the trouble of putting plastic caps in the hoses and leaving coolant in them, so that was interesting. Didn't have the camera on for that. I wasn't expecting it. They kind of haphazardly taped off the exhaust ports. We'll clean that up a little bit. I know now, taking it out, that I can leave the compressor on ahead of time and not have to worry about that. A couple other things can stay on. The manifold shouldn't be a problem. That's staying on. I got to check to see that they didn't cut the wiring for that. Yep, we're in good shape with all the injector connectors are all intact. Off we go. We'll take a lot of the stuff out of the way. Anything they cut or broke, I need to get out of the way. And then we'll make sure we get the best of whatever parts are on both of them on this engine going in. I had to swap out this hose. The junkyard cut it right here. So I had to swap it out from the other one. Luckily I didn't damage the other one. Put these back in their connector brackets. Fuel line, that was fun getting off. I didn't film it because of all the kicking and screaming, but we got it. Luckily all the hardware was missing from the motor I took out. For this bracket, for the side brackets, some of the brackets were missing. If you saw yesterday's video, there's a lot of parts missing. I think I filmed that. We're almost ready. I got to take this piece of hose off, look it over a couple times, make sure I didn't miss anything that would make it harder to put in. I'm going to put the mount brackets on, but not the actual biscuit mounts on the bottom. I'm going to kind of get the motor about 70% of the way in, past all the lines and stuff, and then I'll bolt those on when it's mostly in the car, and then I can drop it down. That's the theory. Last night before I left, I put the pole jack under the tranny and put a block of wood on it to raise it up, so it'll be a little easier going back together too. The only thing a little tricky on this, the exhaust really fought me pulling it over the studs, but I did have the motor mounts on too, and I think that may have been a factor. But I'll see going in. If worst case scenario, I have to loosen a pipe and turn one of them away or something like that, but we'll see. This tells you right hand up, so that's easy. All I gotta do is figure out which one. Oh, there you go. And this is why the exhaust fought me, I think. We'll see going back together. It just seems way easier out of the car than it's going to be in there above the cross number. low budget on this. No spark plugs, no hoses, no gaskets. We're using the metal shims. They're usually okay anyway. And they weren't even tight on the other motor. Because there's limited space, I got this engine ready to go. Basically, I got to take the engine hoist, put it on that, bring that outside, get out of my way. Can't put this in with this there, right? That'd be awkward. So I'm gonna go ahead and discard the engine. That's no bueno. And we'll come back. I'm gonna let this car down. It's gonna happen fast. I mean, really fast. It's right in there like a glove. Like a glove. Watch your head.
I felt that in the back of my neck.
Don't watch your head, man. You know, it's easy. Usually the engine will pull off, get the transmission at the right angle.
Yeah.
I got this transmission on blocks of wood. Pull it up. Have the transmission up a little too far. I've got the engine kind of in the transmission, and I got bolt started by hand loosely, so it won't go anywhere. So we're kind of lined up on that respect. I want to get these mounts bolted in, which there's no room to put a socket on it because it's a stud. So that way it holds a cool heat shield on it. It seems like overkill for a little tiny heat shield, but I'll just use my little gear wrench, ratchet wrench, and get these buttoned up. Then I think we can let it down, and we should be in good shape. Get this hoist out of here and get this thing running hopefully today, if they let me. I think I got to do a starter on that Charger from a couple days ago. They finally approved the starter. I think it's like 0.8 or something silly like that, but everything's something silly right now. When it gets a little slow, things get a little weird, and sometimes places will start getting desperate for work and giving stuff away and half price, and it just doesn't seem like a good recipe to me. I like to set my prices. That's what it costs. You kind of devalue your worth when you do that. It's like if a restaurant gets slow and everything on the menu is 30% off, you know. It's different than giving away a free appetizer in this business, you know. I don't know, you guys tell me what you think. When it gets slow, should you charge less? And when it gets busy, you charge more, I guess? I don't know. Everything's getting crazy expensive nowadays anyway, but you know, if you do something that takes an hour and you charge half an hour, you're going to be behind the 8 ball at the end of the week trying to pay the bills, you know. And that means everybody. That means the mechanics, the owners. And if the power company doesn't get their money, the lights go out, they don't go, oh, it's okay, I'll cut you a break, I'll charge you half this month because I know it's slow. It doesn't happen. Oh, you guys remember this one? It looks like what it does when if you saw the video earlier when I was testing it, I had power on my test light. I only got to do it a couple times on camera, but power on the test light, no engine cranking. And that was from the relay, starter relay output that goes directly down to the starter. I mean, there's a small chance of a wiring problem between the starter and the relay, but that would be very rare that it would self-heal and then start 2 seconds after it didn't start. But it's not impossible. We have to keep that in mind when we're done and do some more testing and try to get it to do it again. When it acts up, it's usually quite a nuisance to get it to start. And then all of a sudden it'll start. You got to disconnect the battery so you don't have power and ground down at your starter while you work on those battery cables. They go directly to the battery most of the time, directly from the starter to the battery, so you have full current. What it does too is very strange. When it doesn't crank and expects it to, it puts on all the boxes around the shift indicator lettering. Kind of a strange thing. They noticed it and took a video of it. I said, well, the starter's getting power to it and nothing's happening. Maybe it does that when it doesn't crank. Put a smile on your face and make it work, baby. What I'm going to do is put a starter in this charger, get it fixed, and call it a day. That's what I want to do. Not a lot of room to get it out of there, but supposedly it's easy. It's like 0.8, so I think 2 or 3 of these bolts hold it on. I might have to take that steering shaft down like I did on this engine job to get the starter out of that one. I don't see anywhere else the starter's going to fit out, do you? I'm going to look up the procedure for fun just to see what it says. Yep. Going to take the intermediate shaft off the rack and pinones, and then it should fit out there. So it says. Oh yeah, it's right there. No big deal. Let's do it. Didn't sound too good for the old Milwaukee. One power tool per job. That's going to get expensive. Oh no. Let me go this way. A little bit of rust on there, it's alright. Listen, man, don't make me use up my freaking coil, you sons of gunja. It's not right, man. Patience wins the day, as is often the case. I want to keep this straight so I don't lose my bearings. Now I suppose you gotta take the sway bar down or something? Oh, okay. It'll probably be enough room. I used my little quarter drive setup to get the cable nut off. See if this will fit in here for some 13mm starter bolt action. Like I said, for some 15mm starter bolt action. They're so nice and clean, they look like 13s. I don't know. When they're dirtier, they look smaller. That is not going to fit. This time my optimism did not pan out. And that's okay, because I got more tools right here. Oh no. This lift's a little too tall, or I'm a little too short. I know what a 3/8 impact did without a problem, because the 3/8 ratchet did too. see if I can get that little, there's a little signal wire. It looks like it just has a cheap butt connector female end on it, but it's got some kind of a lock pin. I had a real bear getting it out of the other car.
Ooh, the starter. These are always fun.
You gotta get the cable off the post, that's the hard part. Oh yeah, that did it. I'm not sure how it's gonna go back on, but we'll figure out something. I got welders and got extension cords, all kinds of stuff. Well, something's happening. I'm not sure what, but something. That is a Napa starter. It's going to be like brand new. Don't worry about it. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's an awful lot of noise, trucker guy. Ever heard of a muffler? Watching too much Fast and Furious with your kids. That's the problem. I don't know if this fits back in. Oh, there it is. The heater hoses don't help either. But I'm not having any fun. It can't be any fun to watch. I'm going to mess with this another 20-30 minutes trying to get it in the hole. And then we'll see if we can attach stuff to it. Washes his hands like Captain Morgan every time. It's kind of weird. Well, if you put the starter all the way in without the cable on the post, it pinches the cable between the starter solenoid and the block, and you can't get it on. So you have to put the starter in loosely, get the bottom bolt started, and then I use my hose pick tool to pull the cable over onto the post while I kind of jiggle the starter because it barely reaches. Because it's about 1/4 of an inch from the exhaust. So, alright. Now, I'm going to push the little signal activation wire onto the solenoid tab. The plastic crumbled when I tried taking it off, so it's a common problem on these because it's like literally 1/4 of an inch from the exhaust. I hope it's not going to give us trouble. But looks like it's all the way on. Hopefully the terminal's good. It feels okay. If it does the same thing, then I'm going to have to try changing that terminal. It's got steering and everything, and hopefully it starts. Alright, battery's hooked up. I didn't close the trunk yet. I'm not that optimistic, but I do have a positive outlook. I don't know if those two go together, but that's alright. Oh, I should have waited about 10 more minutes to hook the battery up, because it's 5 minutes to 12. I think we can fix that pretty easily though. What do you think? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh, time. Look, right there. Who knew it? That's good. Alright, I won't have you guys hang out while I reset the clock. Alright, I'm calling that win. Let's start it a few times. Oh man, you can hear it just springs right to life. The other starter was kind of laboring a little bit. Tested the battery, and the battery was good, so it had to have been a starter, right? I'm going to try starting this thing probably a dozen times or so. Let the managers mess with it a little bit if they want. They weren't too sure on my diagnosis, but so we'll have to be real thorough just in case I don't know what I'm doing, and we'll see. We'll come back to it if something comes up or I overlook something and I want to show you guys not to do the same silly thing, and if it was just perfect and everything is awesome, then you won't see this car again until it comes in for another repair of some sort. Let's get back on that engine install on the other Chrysler product. got to get some bell housing bolts. Hope these two mate better. There's quite a few bolts in this bad boy. Got to harness all them 3.6 horsepowers. Don't worry, this thing's a powerhouse, it's fine. These motor mounts have notches. They sit down in little notches and line up the bolt holes for you real nice. I gotta do the converter bolts, but I want to get the motor mounts bolted in and get rid of some of these bolts. I know where they go. Get my mind right, because that converter part, that's gonna be exciting. Sometimes the extended reach is nice. That's still not a must, but get your hands out of there a little bit while you're tightening. Kind of went off the rails here pretty quickly. Had to lower the transmission cross member, loosen all the bell housing bolts back up. It is literally impossible to turn the converter without turning the flywheel, and vice versa. You can turn the engine plenty. It's not that the converter's locked up in the pump or forced back where it shouldn't have been. I made sure that the converter was all the way back, but I didn't make sure it was exactly lined up. I assumed that when I got it all together, I could turn the converter a 1/4 inch or so. I might need to line it up, but you cannot. I think the converter hub is so snug in the crankshaft. I was turning the converter with my hose pick tool, pulling on the nuts that are welded onto the back of the converter flange, and it was turning the flywheel with it. I actually bent my pick tool a little bit. So now that I've loosened everything up, now I can put my hands in here and I can turn the converter. And you got to make sure the bolts are lined up in pairs. If you tighten them the wrong way, then obviously the rest of them aren't going to line up. But so we went backwards a little bit to go forward. And now I got an AC check real quick I got to look at, and then we'll come back to it. 2022 Suburban with 25,000 miles, and air doesn't work. That's a shame. It doesn't work at all. Customer thinks he has a hose leaking. I mean, it's brand new inside now. He got a couple kids and stuff. I think they're on vacation, so I'm just going to tell you it's a love rating of 8, and it's got 25,000 miles. It's brand new. Well, not as new as my Tundra, but close. I was probably a little generous with the love rating, but you got kids and stuff. You got to take it easy on them. People got to live, man. Jimmy. Not everyone can keep their vehicles spotless. And that's cool. Everyone's dancing to their own drum, man. I don't mind that at all, even though I might joke about it, but the chime's awfully pleasant. 24,712 miles. It's not even 25,000 yet. Something that's new, and 1234YF refrigerant, which everyone knows causes pains in the patooties. So I'm going to look for codes and stuff first, just real quick. If I don't see anything that has to do with AC, we're going to put the machine on it. Got a BCM code, a restraints code, but no codes in any other modules or in the heating and AC. We can look at pressure most likely in the heating and AC. Data stream. What? Is it not going to show me more data? That's terrible. Let's look in the ECM and see if we can find AC data in that. And let's stop the key chime. So try and do something. Selected a good temperature that I like. Stop, start, I don't know. It's not a clip. What does that matter? I just want to see if it thinks there's refrigerant in there. Man, I can smell. Something smells funny. Engine cooling, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning data. Now we're going to find, alright, settle down now. Whoa. If there's too big of a gap, it blasts the fan and tries to get it cold. Active grill, air conditioning compressor, inhibit reason. Air conditioning, high side pressure. It's got 3 of them. Let's just pick them all. High side pressure, 165. Compressor clutch on. Compressor clutch inhibit reason. Engine speed unstable. What? Compressor command on. 166 psi. This thing could just have a bad compressor. Let's hook up the gauges. I am going to do an evac and recharge. I'm calling an audible, executive decision. I want to see just how low it is. The customer seems to think a hose is leaking, but I don't see anything in the engine compartment. And I don't want to lift this behemoth on this little rack. I want to do an evac and recharge, see if the system's capable of working. Drive it over the alignment rack so I can look at the hoses and lines from underneath. See if I can spot some dye. Plus that way we'll know if the system will work, if we fix the leak and all that kind of thing. This machine's a little slow, as you might know. I might have mentioned it a couple of dozen times. But we're going to do it anyway. Then we'll come back, we'll see, we'll take a look on the alignment rack. We'll make sure it's working here. I'll show you that, and then we'll take a look on the alignment rack, and I'll show you if I find something leaking. That machine takes so long, I can put my converter bolts in now that I got the converter to turn. And I'll be getting something done while that machine's wasting time. I didn't see a slot in any of these bolts, so I'm just doing them all the way around, and then I'll go around again and tighten them all. That's the last one. Don't drop them. I mean, seriously, don't drop them, because you'd be sad. Although luckily the transmission and the engine aren't quite all the way together, because when the hub of that converter goes in the back of the crank good, doesn't turn. So we learned something new today. We learn things every day. As you gain life experience, you realize how little you know. Even if you think you're smart, you're probably really not. Only smart enough to realize how much you don't know. Less than half a pound. So it holds about 2. Holds 1 kilogram, or 1.000 kilogram, 1,000 grams. So what we're going to do is, we're going to give it 1,000 grams, make sure it's cold. Kilograms. 1. Continue. Continue. And this is going to take a minute. So we can go back and tighten the converter bolts now. They're all in, might as well. My locking extension just so the socket might not fall down there, which I don't think it would really fit, but just in case. I think it could. Should be the last bolt. About time to go check on a Suburban. Now we're going to start it up, see if it's cold. The evac and recharge want you to close this high side service port, and it'll pull a refrigerant from the low side hoses, the low side and high side hose, through the machine into the car. That's the last little bit. It's roughly an ounce or so. It varies depending on how long your hoses are and stuff, how efficient the machine is, all those kinds of things. Here's to hoping it's cold. Something's happening. Gotta be patient. Yep, it's working. It got cool. It's getting cooler and cooler and cooler as time goes by. I'm gonna get the machine off of it. We're gonna drive over the alignment rack, see if we can spot where that refrigerant escaped from. Put it back in refrigerant Alcatraz. Well, look what these turkeys have done. I said, oh man, something's leaking bad over here, and then I go over this frame rail. The undercoating, or whatever coating is on this stuff, glows yellow. That's cool. Nice job, guys. 24,000 miles, lost its refrigerant, and you got it so it's almost impossible to find out where it's leaking from. Starter just needs power. Let's hook up this O2 while we're in here, huh? Might as well. Really close to the exhaust, isn't it? I don't design them, I just fix them. I've actually had some people get very mad that I bust on engineers a little bit. First of all, I'm just having fun. Second of all, tell me I'm wrong. The engineers know what they're doing. Oh really? Then why did I just have a Suburban in here with a problem at 24,000 miles? This car I can't really, it's got 204,000 miles. And it's been maintained. The cam said I had enough. So, I don't know. Maybe I just think too much. That's possible too. The manufacturers do kind of tie their hands on all seriousness. The manufacturers tell them it can't cost more than $1.20 for that starter. So they got to find a way to engineer it so that the Chinese kids can make it that cheap. That's just a little bit of tongue-in-cheek. Take it easy. Get this exhaust bolted up, and I think we'll be in pretty good shape. Start plugging in some wiring and all. I got to get the throttle body off the other intake. Must have some value, so they separate it. That dipstick looks a lot prettier than the one that the car came with, so we're going to try to save that son of a gun. I still got to hook up that little vacuum pump dealio, but yeah, I'm putting it off, procrastinating a little bit, doing some easier stuff like wiring, electrical connectors. I'm going to grab that throttle body in a second, put that on. All this stuff pretty much lays back in place. I still got to put the alternator in. Those wires are all down here, so it's coming along. It is coming along a little at a time. I got to get them to get me a belt too. That belt was a little cracked up, but I think that now that I think about it, they said we're on a very strict budget. When the insurance guy came by today, he goes, "What are you doing? We didn't approve this job yet." I said, "What?" I think the insurance is going to pay like half or something like that. I forget the exact details, but I think they were going to do two of the cams and some followers, and the customer is going to pay the difference to go to an engine instead, and they would just pay that part of it. So I think that's what they were going to do, which is good. I mean, I've had a really hard time lately getting those insurance companies to cover stuff. If they do, they just want to do like one gasket, one cam follower, see how it goes. Anyway, I got the clamps on here. I got to unsnap all these clamps in the front. I just use my hose pick tool for that.
Oh, that's nice.
It is, isn't it?
Finally get to try use auto off. It gets me to the next point to put in the pin to unlock it. Sure, beautiful. And then it goes, this tool is not registered to use the auto off.
He's got to done do it again. Lower hose first. Oh, there it is. This guy is going to be a little rascal. I can feel the bones. Oh, there. Didn't quite want to squeeze that clamp enough. Where'd I put that throttle body at? I don't want to brag, but 11 other shops couldn't find that bolt. Alright guys, tomorrow we're going to do the rack and pinion, the alternator, some fluids. I got to sort out this leaking drain plug. There isn't even any oil in it, it's leaking. It's dripping on the floor, so. But we're finishing it off here for tonight, so we're getting ready to close down for the day. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you watching. Hope you got something from today's video. Maybe you'll torque the like button there. And more than anything though, I hope I see you in another video, because you're awesome.